This is the 15th volume of the quest, and the 4th of the frontier books that take a single, unresolved problem the capstone only named and give it a whole volume to answer. The problem here is the most ordinary and the most stubborn in all of physics. The microscopic laws run the same forwards and backwards. The world they build runs only one way. I begin, as I confess, I ended a season ago at Winter Anchor, with a film run backwards. Billiard balls that betray no secret when reversed, and beside them a wine glass that gathers itself off the deck, ink that draws back into a single bead, an egg that rebuilds its shell, a child laughs at the second reel before she can read. The question this book exists to press is why she is right to laugh, and it is as hard as any I have set myself, what breaks the symmetry and where the direction of time comes from at all. I wrote it the way I have written all the others, as a juror and not an advocate, grading every claim by the strength of the evidence rather than the thrill of it. 4 tiers carry the whole book. There is established science for what is replicated and mechanistically secure, contested but serious for what competent physicists still fight over in good faith. The speculative bridge, plausible in principle but not yet demonstrated, and a plainer verdict still for the claims the evidence simply will not bear. Method over allegiance, and the discipline matters more in this volume than almost anywhere, because the series has its own thread running through it, the electrical account of the cosmos, and I owed it both a generous credit and a narrow refusal. The electric and the thermal are genuinely braided. Radiation carries the entropy, plasmas dissipate it, information costs it. I credit that braid wherever it is real. I decline plainly the dream of a universe that escapes the one law even a beautiful theory may not violate. The book is built in 7 movements. The first states the puzzle exactly. I lay out the time reversal symmetry of the fundamental laws at full strength. 4 theories from 4 centuries, all indifferent to which way the reel turns, and then the one real crack, the tiny asymmetry in the decay of neutral kaons. A prediction kept and confirmed. It is real and I honor it, but I show carefully why so faint and remote a violation cannot be the engine that drives your coffee cold. On this bedrock I set the 3 laws of thermodynamics, grounded honestly in the age of the steam engine, and entropy understood not as a mood of the universe, but as bookkeeping for multiplicity, a count of the ways a thing can be arranged. All of this is established, and I say so. The second movement follows Boltzmann's revolution, and it is the intellectual heart of the book. How a symmetric law makes an asymmetric world by nothing grander than the sheer weight of probability. I give the reversibility and recurrence objections their full force before I answer them, because Boltzmann's own statistics, pressed honestly, give an arrow that points both ways, toward the future and, through the same machinery, toward the past. That tie cannot be broken from inside the dynamics, and admitting so is the pivot on which the rest of the book turns. Then Maxwell's demon, loosed in a letter in 1867 almost as a joke, which seemed to defeat the second law by cleverness alone, by knowing things. It took 94 years and the invention of the computer to lay it to rest, and the resolution came not from thermodynamics, but from the physics of information. Erasing a bit costs entropy, and the demon must pay the ledger it thought it had cheated. That answer I mark as established, and it is one of the quiet triumphs of the century. This movement closes on why living things and burning stars pay for their local order in exported disorder rather than breaking the law. The cell and the star are not exceptions but taxpayers, buying their pockets of structure with a larger debt of heat radiated into the cold. It is the single most common confusion I have had to answer over the whole series, and I answer it here for good. The second law is not violated by a growing tree or a shining sun. It is precisely what funds them. The third movement is where I trace the arrow to its source, and where the book is most honest about the edge of the mystery. The several arrows, thermodynamic, cosmological, radiative, psychological, turn out to be one arrow seen from several sides, and their convergence is a clue, not a coincidence. Gravity, strangely, turns entropy upside down. For matter under its own pull, smoothness is not the bland equilibrium it resembles, but a colossal reserve of unspent order, a boulder balanced on the highest hilltop the cosmos would ever know. The near-perfect uniformity of the infant universe was that boulder. From this follows the past hypothesis, the raw stipulation that the universe began in a macro state of staggering, unaccountable order, and Penrose's number for how special it had to be. 1 part in 10 to the 10 to the 123. I will not paper over the discomfort of resting a whole edifice on a brute fact of that size, nor will I let the easy escape stand, the tempting idea that our ordered past is merely a giant fluctuation out of an eternal equilibrium. I give that fluctuation hypothesis its full seductive force and then take it apart, because it predicts a world that is overwhelmingly a lonely Boltzmann brain hallucinating its surroundings, and that is a reductio the evidence will not bear. The fourth movement returns to the engine room where the science is firmest. Carnot's limit on what any engine can do, the irreversible flow of heat. Self-organization far from equilibrium where order appears locally at the price of faster disorder elsewhere, and then the chapter I owed the series most, plasmas, fields, and irreversibility graded honestly. Here I credit the electrical braid in full and still hold the line. The fifth movement climbs to where the arrow knots together with the deepest open problems in physics. Entropy in the quantum world, and then black hole thermodynamics, where the ledger arrives at its single largest entry, written on the surfaces of black holes by Bekenstein and Hawking. Nearly all the entropy of the present universe lives there. From that follows the information paradox, still genuinely unresolved, which I keep in the contested but serious column rather than pretending either side has won, and the entropy of the cosmos as a whole under dark energy and its de Sitter horizon. The sixth movement follows the arrow to its end, the heat death and the long dark, and takes up the speculative attempts to explain the improbable beginning, inflation, bounces, cyclic cosmologies, and the quantum gravity knot in which the whole question may finally be tied. I mark these as bridges, some sturdier than others, none yet load-bearing. The seventh asks whether time truly flows, and here I change register at the door rather than smuggle the change in. On the felt passage of time, the moving now, the physics may be, in a precise sense, largely silent, and I say so rather than answering by fiat. Then I set out what could actually settle the matter, the windows onto the first instant that future measurement might open, and I render the verdict. And the verdict, when I reach it, is narrower and stranger than the confident voices on either side would like. The arrow of time is a direction, inherited once from a staggeringly ordered beginning and handed down through every entropy-increasing process since. The machinery is secure, the three laws, the statistics, the demon's defeat, the cell's honest accounting, all established. What is not explained, and what I refuse to pretend is explained, is why the beginning was set at the top of that hill. That single fact stands at the head of the world with nothing yet behind it, and every deeper answer on offer is a speculation I can describe fairly, but cannot certify. I began with a real run backwards, and nothing in 26 chapters has loosened its grip. That was always the whole mystery, and honesty obliges me to hand it on still open, crediting what is established, marking what is speculative, declining what the evidence will not carry, and leaving the reader, as I leave myself at anchor with the frost on the ports, in the disciplined middle where the truth, if we reach it, will be reached by measurement and not by longing.